What's up everybody, it's Sean here and I am back today to give you guys a review of the 2025 version of the Air Jordan 4 Retro White Cement. So this is the highly anticipated retro of the iconic Air Jordan 4 White Cement, which last retroed almost a decade ago back in 2016. This year's version though is supposed to be recrafted or retooled to be a bit closer to the original look from 1989. And this pair is slated to drop worldwide on May 24th, and they retail for $225 US or $290 here in Canada. The official colorway for this shoe is Summit White, Fire Red, Tech Gray, and Black, and these will be available at most Air Jordan retailers. These should be a pretty big GR, including the Closet Inc., which is located right here in Canada. The Closet Inc. is my go-to shop for Nikes and Jordan Retros. They're independently owned and operated, and they're based right here in Southern Ontario in Canada. So for all my Canadian viewers out there, check out the Closet Inc. I'll link their socials, their website, all that stuff down below. So tell them that you heard about them through me. So the Air Jordan 4 White Cement is one of my favorite Jordans of all time. This is an original colorway from 1989 that released alongside other colorways like the Bread or Black and Red and the Military Blue. But for me, the White Cement has always been my favorite just because of how clean the colorway is. First things first though, here's a quick look at the box. So this comes in your standard Air Jordan 4 box. So we have a black colored lid with Jumpman Flight branding on the top, and then the bottom half is done in gray with the cement print in black. And this lid feels pretty sturdy. It feels a little bit thicker to the touch than a typical GR, especially the bottom half of the box. This just feels like the cardboard is extra thick. So as far as the shoe goes, jumping right into the details, the majority of the upper is crafted using the smooth white colored leather. So this leather is a genuine leather, however, there's a very stiff coating on the top of it. So this to me was really disappointing. As you see here, even if I run my fingers across it, you don't see any natural leather grains whatsoever. It just feels extremely stiff. Even though when you look at the sides of the leather, you can see that it is a genuine leather, but that top coating just takes away a lot from it. Overlaid on top of this, surrounding the front half of the toe box, we have another layer of that same smooth white leather. And you'll notice how the toe box of these Jordan 4s is retooled, so it has this very nice, sleek appearance to it. It doesn't have that boxy look like some retros had in the past. Covering the bottom three eyelets, of course, we have your signature lace crown. This is constructed out of a black colored TPU or plastic. On the mid panel, we have your signature Jordan 4 netting, and then moving downwards, we have that side flap or wing. This is done in the cement gray finish, and it's attached to another lace crown in black. Underneath this, we have more of that smooth white colored leather. This wraps around the entire back half of the shoe. And then on the heel, of course, we have your heel tab. This is constructed out of rubber, but has a decent softness to it. And then of course, we have this raised Nike Air branding in black in the center. As far as the laces go, so these only come with one lace option, and they're a flat style white colored lace. Underneath this, the tongue is covered in that same netting that we saw on the sides of the shoe, whereas the top half of the tongue is crafted out of that same smooth white leather. And then stitched onto the center, we have this patch with Jumpman Flight branding. On the back of the tongue, this is covered in this black colored liner, and like any other Air Jordan 4, we have this upside down tag with Air Jordan branding in red. The interior of the shoe is pretty decently padded. It has a nice kind of squishy feel to it, and it's covered in this white colored liner. And then for the insoles, these come with an actual polyurethane lined insole. It's covered in this black finish on top, and then pressed onto the heel, we have Nike Air branding in red. Hanging off the shoe, they also come with this orange colored Nike Air hang tag, which pays homage to the original look from 1989. So the upper of these Jordan 4s sits atop a polyurethane foam midsole, which is painted in white on the bottom half, but we have the cement print on the top half. Encased within the shoe, we have Nike Air technology, so it's not visible underneath the forefoot, but it is visible underneath the heel, and you can see it through that air window on both sides of the heel. And then turning the shoe over to the bottom, here we have your typical Jordan 4 outsole, and in this case, it's constructed out of a mix of gray, black, and red colored rubber. We have this herringbone style traction pattern that runs from heel to toe, along with this large red Nike branding visible right in the center. So that breaks down the look and the construction of this pair. And for those wondering about how these fit, I know Jordan 4s aren't the easiest shoe to pull off if you have a wider foot. So in my case, I wear between a 10, which is true to size, or sometimes a 10.5 if the shoe fits a little bit more snug. So getting these in a size 10, which again is my true size, they fit me pretty well, I could feel a little bit of pressure around my pinky toe area, just on the outside edge. But for me, it's not snug enough that I'd want to go up half a size. So I feel like if you have a narrow, normal, or even a slightly wide foot, you can go true to size in these. But if you have like a really wide foot, for me, I'm between a D and an E width. So if you're like a double E, for example, I'd probably recommend going up half a size. But whatever size you normally wear for recent normal Air Jordan 4 Retros, I'd just get that same size for this shoe and you should be okay. Moving on to the comfort, so these feel pretty much like any other Air Jordan 4, so unfortunately they're not that comfortable of a Jordan Retro. They feel relatively flat and firm underfoot. I always find Jordan 3s to be more comfortable than 4s. Maybe it's just the way that Jordan 3s fit compared to a 4, but I've always never really felt that Jordan 4s are that comfortable. So historically, if you're someone that doesn't like how Jordan 4s feel and you feel they're firm or too clunky, then I'd probably stay away from this shoe just the same. But if you're someone that is okay with how Jordan 4s feel, then I think you'll be fine with this Retro too. Finally, in terms of the quality and the craftsmanship on this shoe, so first off, the material quality, like I mentioned earlier on in this review, the leather was the biggest disappointment for me. I know this is a genuine leather, and it does feel like it's a thicker cut than some recent GR Jordan 4s, but that top layer on the leather just feels very thick. And not only does it make the shoe feel a little bit more uncomfortable, but it hides all the natural imperfections and the natural leather grains on the leather. Maybe that's just what Jordan Brand intended to do, as they wanted to bring this back closer to the look of the OGs. But comparing the leather on this to my 2016s, I just appreciate the softer feel and finish of the older Retro. The overall build of the shoe though I thought was pretty pristine and it was pretty much flawless. The stitch job was good, the panels were symmetrical between my left and right feet, and it was free of any major glue stains, and the paint job was solid as well. So yes, the materials I wasn't totally in love with, but the overall build of the shoe felt very, very nice. So to me, it wasn't a total disappointment. So with all of that out of the way now, let me toss these on feet, I'll lace them up, and I'll show you guys how these look. All in all, 9 years I think is a good amount of time to wait for a re-release of one of the most iconic Jordans of all time. It's great to see people that weren't around in 2016 or just didn't have the opportunity to pick up the last Retro get a second chance this coming Saturday. The overall shape of the shoe I thought was great, and the quality of the build I thought was really solid as well. Yes, I'm not in love with the leather, but that just might be a personal preference thing, as I just prefer leather that doesn't have like an overly synthetic feeling coating on the top. So leave your thoughts down below, let me know what do you guys think about this 2025 version of the Air Jordan 4 White Cement. When these drop on Saturday, do you plan on picking these up? Or have you already gotten lucky and gotten a pair through the early access? And if you have, what are your thoughts on these now that you have them in hand? Leave your thoughts down below, especially about the leather quality. I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. I'll add my social media accounts, all that stuff for you guys to follow. And again, shout out to The Closet Inc. If you're watching from Canada, check them out and support the independent shops. So thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review, and I'll catch everybody in my next video.